So all of you read that topic from preventive and social medicine. Whether you have referred that complete chapter, whatever points I have marked. Hello, hello, hello. In group, I have shared the K Park textbook. So in that particular chapter I have mentioned. Please go through that. All of you, whether uh, referred or not. Hello, please respond. Hello, hello, hello. Whether video audio is clear, please respond. Hello, 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 hello. Can we start now? Please respond. All of you joined. Hello. Today's topic is educational psychology. As in previous class, we have uh, learned that the education psychology as a discipline. So what are the basics of psychology? We have uh, uh, detail discussed in the K Park textbook, that is the medical social science. So today we will go through the proper theories related to educational psychology. So let us start. So introduction to educational psychology. So what is educational psychology? What is important of educational psychology to know the especially for teacher or instructor is the field of educational psychology is the study of how people learn and factors that influencing this learning process and how the psychological principles will enhance the teaching and learning for the student of all ages. So this is the educational psychology. In previous class, we have discussed that. So psychology is a study of behavior and personality. So that's why if we applied this psychology in the education field, so it is called educational psychology. So what is the importance of this educational study? To study the how people will learn. So learning process, how the people will learn to know these things, how learning will happen. So these to increase the learning teaching processes, if we know the psychology of the students, psychology of the learners, that will help for the teaching learning process. So that's why this educational psychology will helpful for the to improve the teaching learning methods. That's why psychological principles can be included in the educational system. That's why it is called as educational psychology. Then understanding the learner. So in through psychology concept, psychological aspect, we understand the learner. So whom we want to teach. To understand the learner, first one is cognitive development. So what is the cognitive development? So the learner, the child, adolescent, adult, the whatever maybe person or older person, so his cognitive abilities, to examine his cognitive abilities or to know about the different levels of this cognitive abilities, how these cognitive abilities, cognitive development will happen in the learners and the impact of this cognitive in the learning process, their learning process. That's why in the psychology we will study about the cognitive development from birth to up to age old. So cognitive, how cognitive will develop throughout the life, that is we will study the cognitive development. Then learning styles. So every individual, every students will learn at different levels, different by different styles. So we also study here the learning styles, in which learning style the learner is able to understanding the teaching, or which style he is prefer for learning. So to know the learning style, the effective method of instruction, whichever suitable for learners. So study of learning styles. Then motivation and interest. In psychology, we also study that motivate and create the interest in learners. Without motivation and interest, creating interest in the learners, the teaching learning will not happen. So this motivation and interest creation will be based on the psychological principles. So that's why psychology is also helpful for motivation and interest in the learner. So under this motivation, extrinsic and intrinsic, uh, two types are there, but to give the motivation and interest in the learners also, this psychology will help. So understanding what motivates the learners, how to interact can be level to enhance the engagement and achievement. So to motivate the learners, we have to know their psychology, what is their thinking, what is their personality, what is their behavior, then only we can motivate them. So then social and emotional factors. So how social and emotional factors will influence the teaching learning process. How these different cultural backgrounds, socio-economic levels will affect the learning of the learners. We also study in the this educational psychology. So these are the major aspect to understand the learner from the all the aspect: cognitive, social and emotional, affective, and his learning styles, and to motivate him. So everything we will do by understanding the psychology, especially that is educational psychology. Then cognitive process in learning. So what is the cognitive process learning? So cognitive process means cognitions, to receive, analyze, and interpret. So cognition. So in this, the three terms like attention. Attention means what? Cognitive process. How this cognitive process will work in the learning. So attention. Attention means the ability to focus the relevant information and filter out the distraction is crucial for the effective learning. Means अगर मैं क्लास में कुछ बता रहा हूँ स्पेसिफिक सब्जेक्ट है, so relevant information, it will take the relevant information and it will distract the other crucial other distractions, filter the other distractions from the classroom. अगर क्लासरूम में क्लास चल रहा है तो कुछ डिस्ट्रैक्शन हो रहा है, कुछ बच्चे अदर थिंग दूसरा काम कर रहे हैं, डिस्ट्रैक्ट हो रहे हैं, एंड अदर सर्टन टीचर दूसरा भी कुछ एक्स्ट्रा बता रहे हैं, लेकिन द फोकस एबिलिटी अदर डिस्ट्रैक्शन से अवॉइड करके ओनली फोकसिंग ऑन द रिलेवेंट टॉपिक और फोकसिंग ऑन द टीचर and that particular class is called attention. Giving the attention, it may be external stimuli or internal stimuli. in internal stimuli like in mind also, number of thoughts, number of other things will be there in the mind. To avoiding that type of distractions, if you focus on the relevant information, relevant class, then that is called the attention. Attention means to avoid the other distraction from our mind, we should focus the that particular thing, that is called the attention. The ability will call as attention. For example, if you are listening this classroom, if you completely focusing on what I am telling, that is attention. The ability, this ability is different from different individuals. Someone will completely able to focus what I am telling. Someone may have other things are going on in their minds. So that is the attention, ability to focus on the relevant information. That is the attention is needed in this cognitive process. The first process is attention. If attention is not enough, then the cognitive, this learning will be not effective. Then perception. Then what is after the attention? The how the learner will pursue the that things. Learners interpret and organize sensory input like visual, auditory cues, shapes, and their understanding. So perception means how they will interpret in their mind what I am telling, what I am explaining. So you will hear and you will interpret in your mind in your level. So that is your perception. Even though I am telling a same explanation for 10 people, so everyone's perception is different based on their knowledge, based on their exposure, based on their intelligence. So perception is the how the learner will interpret and organizes that inputs. That is the perception. Then as we learn that motivation and engagement, so motivation is two types, that is intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation. So fostering the intrinsic motivation helps the student develop genuine interest and enjoyment in the learning. This lead to the deeper engagement and better learning outcomes. So we should motivate the learners to engage in the deeper engagement in the better learning outcomes. Without motivation, the efficient learning will not happen. To motivate the students or learners, we should know their psychology, their interest. So that is the important. Then this is extrinsic motivation. This will work temporarily. We will motivate the students or learners by temporarily, please read, please do these things. But until and unless the intrinsic motivation is not there, the students or learner will not go for the better understanding, or the better learning outcomes will not happen. So that's why it is important to intrinsic motivation by our teaching methods, our teaching styles, our knowledge. So the student will get motivated. That is intrinsic motivation. So it depends on the teacher. It depends on the delivery more method of the teaching styles methods. So it should create the intrinsic motivation in the learners. That is the concept. And engagement strategies. So we have to keep learners engaged in the classroom, engaged in the learning activity by using different instructional methods, real world relevance, giving the real world relevance or examples, real life experience and opportunity, and other giving the autonomy to the student, and we can engage the students in the teaching learning process. That is the motivation and engagement. So because of this educational psychology, we are able to manage the classroom management strategies. So effective classroom management. This is also one of the syllabus point, that is classroom management in the classroom management. It is the separate topic in this NTET syllabus. So what we are discussing now, that is general things regarding educational psychology, how psychology will help, what are the things related with this educational psychology. So because of this, why it is important to study the educational psychology, it will help in the classroom management. So classroom management strategy is also based on the psychology of the learners. So effective classroom management is essential for creating productive learning environment. The key strategies include establishing clear expectation, implementing consistent routines, engaging students through varied instructional methods, building positive relationship, promoting self-regulation, and addressing destructive behaviors can also foster the respectful, inclusive classroom culture. So to manage classroom, these are the things we have to note, that is promoting the self-regulation and disruptive behaviors. What are the different disruptive, distractive behaviors in the learners that will disturb the classroom? We have to tackle, we have to manage that things. So to do these all things, we should know the psychology of the learners. That's why the uh, educational psychology is also one of the important point thing that will improve our classroom management strategy. So what are the classroom management strategy? We will discuss in that unit in detail. What are the how we will punish, how we will maintain the classroom environment, how we will do the practical class sessions. So everything, whatever we are applying the strategies, they are based on the this educational psychology. So instructional design and delivery. So instructional design and delivery means, so which method we are using, whether it's teacher centric, whether learner centric, whether we are presenting with video or with PPT or with role play or discussion, whatever methods we are using for teaching purpose, how we choose the design or particular design or method for teaching based on the understanding the psychology of the student, whether the learners are children's, adolescents, adults, or they are fast learners, slow learners, or any background, any so special environment affected students. So we consider all the things to design the particular instructional method. That is, instructional method means teaching method. So engaging and empowering learners, this involves the careful structuring lessons, aligning objectives, selecting appropriate teaching methods, technology. So it is also to design instructional different methods and delivery of teaching. It needs the to know the learner styles. So because every students have unique learning styles. So to know the learning styles, we should know the psychology. That way also this educational psychology is also helpful for to build the instructional designs and different methods of delivery of this classroom. Then assessment and evaluation. So what is the assessment and evaluation? We have discussed in detail in the one unit, that is assessment and evaluation in detail. So what is formative assessment? What is summative assessment? We discussed in detail. So what is formative assessment? It is a assessment when done through learning process, like immediate question answer session, giving the unit test or periodic test, or orally asking the question. So immediately we are assessing the student after the finishing the particular chapter or subject. That is the formative assessment. So what is summative assessment? It is the final assessment. The after the end of the course, we will conduct the university examination. That is the summative assessment or summative evaluation. So this formative assessment have different of methods. As I mentioned in that unit, the CBSE has given the lot of method of different kinds of methods of formative assessment. In our NCISM manual also, they have given the different kinds of activities, group discussion, role play, uh, and other lot of methods to assess the students. That is called formative assessment. So which type of assessment we should choose for that learners? How we can apply that particular formative assessment in that particular condition? It all depends on the psychology of learners. So that's why it is important to know that educational psychology to apply the proper assessment and evaluation methods. Or we can whether these classical formative assessment and summative assessment we do, or other alternative assessment like portfolios and this performance based task, whether we should assess by these methods or by this classical formative and summative assessment, or data driven decision based on the student data. So individual differentiation and other targeted interventions, from based on which category we will assess and evaluate the learning of the students, or learning of the teaching learning methods, is also depend on the psychology. If you know the psychology of that learners, then we can choose the any one of these different methods are there. So it will also depend on the assessment and evaluation. And applying educational psychology in practice, this is the whole summary of this educational psychology application in the practice means teaching learning practice. Teaching learning practice. So it will help for the teaching strategies. It will help for student-centered approach, collaboration, and evidence-based practice. To do the evidence-based practice, that is evidence-based teaching, the psychology is needed. The application of educational psychology is needed. So to apply different kinds of teaching strategies informed by the educational psychology, active learning, formative. So overall, this educational psychology is helpful for the teaching strategies, and it is helpful for student-centered approach. What is student-centered approach? There are two types, that is teacher-centered and student-centered teaching methods. So to apply student-centered methodology, we should know the student psychology. टीचर सेंटर में क्या होता है? टीचर इज द मेन take the main center place in the teaching, but student center में student is centered or focus. How students will engage, students will learn, that will be focus. If you go for student center approach, before going that, it is important to know the psychology of the that students. That's why this educational psychology is also helpful for going the student centered approach. Then collaboration means with other educators, different of experts, other educators, counselors, specialists related to that particular field, we can collaborate and do the teaching. To do this collaboration also, we should know the psychology of these learners and students, so that then only we can make the good collaboration of, or we can call the good expert for the teaching methods. Then evidence-based practice. So continuous research and evaluation. We should do the research in teaching based on the psychology. Based on the psychological condition of the learner, we can continue research and evaluate, and we will adopt different strategies or methods in the teaching learning methods based on the research. The research will based on psychology, how the child will learn, how the adult will learn. So different of research we can done only by this to know the psychology of the, based on the psychology of the learner. Without understanding the psychology, we cannot do the research. So that is the concept. So applying educational psychology in the practice. Practice means here teaching, learning, practice. Then this overall summary of this educational psychology, it may be, we can apply the educational psychology in classroom application, professional development. So for educators, for learners also, if you know the education psychology properly, then it will also improve the professional development. Then school-wide change, systematic transformation through psychology. If teachers or instructors know the psychology, educational psychology well, then it will transform the school education system. That's why it is important the educational psychology to apply in the teaching learning methods. So applying principles of educational psychology requires more than just understanding the theories. It involves the translating research into practical classroom strategies, engaging in ongoing professional development, driving school-wide change, create the lasting important. Simply by knowing theories of psychology is not helpful for the changes in the teaching field. So that way you should apply these theories. Whatever theoretically we will learn these theories, we have to apply in the field, that is classroom. Then only we will efficiently go for the teaching learning process. That will help for the improvement in the education system. That is the concept of this educational psychology, or this is the application of psychology, how we can educational psychology will improve the education system. That all things are very important. Now we will move on special theories, psychological theories, specific psychological theories. This is the general topic, how the educational psychology will helpful for the education or teaching purpose. So once again, this is the same thing, applying educational psychology in the practice. So now we will discuss about cognitive development. This is the one of the point in the NTT syllabus. First, we have covered educational psychology as a discipline. Next, we have seen the what is the educational psychological importance in the this educational field. How practically we should implement what is, how we can implement whatever mode this educational psychology is helping in the teaching learning process. So we just learn that. Now the cognitive development. So cognitive development, how this cognitive development will happen. So what are the different theories of cognitive development, we will learn now. So cognitive development is a process by which human mind matures and evolves, spacing our ability to think, shaping our ability to think, reason, understand the world around us. This crucial aspect of human growth encompasses the development of various mental faculties from perception to memory, problem solving, and decision making. Conscious means is cognitive development from birth to old age. Like how this our mind matures, how our perception will increase from child to adult. Then how our memory and problem solving capacity will increase. We will learn in detail. So what is cognition? The brain and cognitive development. So brain and cognitive are inseparable concepts, because even though we will tell that mind is a separate entity, but as a without brain, if the mind is, we cannot establish mind is separate. So that's why the brain and cognitivity develop are interdependent. So how the brain will develop, then the cognitive development will also happen. So the brain is the command center of the human body, responsible for the assessing information, making the decision, controlling our cognitive ability. So as we develop, the brain also undergoes the significant changes, shape, then and our cognitive abilities also undergone changes as the brain undergoes the changes. The different regions of the brains, for example, these are cortex, hippocampus, amygdala. This will play different type of cognitive development, and including memory, attention, problem solving, emotional regulation. So different parts of brain will uh, playing different roles for these particular things. If you go to the physiology, so which parts of brain are related with uh, which type of emotion, cortex में क्या होता है, medulla में क्या होता है, amygdala में which type of these things are going. So you can go through the physiology. So this is just an idea, the brain and cognitive development. As brain develops, the cognitive skills also develops and changes according to the brain development. So stages of cognitive development. First one is sensoromotor stage, that is from birth to 2 years. The cognitive development in this stage, that is sensoromotor stage, we call infants develops objective performance, permanence, and learn through their senses and motor skills. From 0 to 2 years, what happens? The cognition or the understanding of the things, objects will happens by the sensory motor. Sensor motor, the infant or child will see, and by sense and motor senses, motor skills, that will know the things around the child. So that is the only the sensory motor development. The child will able to identify the mother by this sensory motor skill. It does not have memory, it does not have other things, but the sensory motor development is developed in the 0 to 2 years. That's why the object permanence, because of touch, because of vision, because of ear, the object permanence, the object is there. The child will understand the object is there purely based on these sensory things. That is the concept. The child will not imagine, the child will not go for higher things. It will only the objective permanence. Yes, the person is present here. The child will know only with this sensory motor things. Without this, the child is not able to recognize the object permanence. Then after that, 2 to 7 years, the toddlers or young children start to use symbolic thinking language but struggle with logical reasoning. So उसके बाद क्या होता है, 2 to 7 years, young children or toddlers, they can think about symbolic thinking language, but logical thinking नहीं होता है. So this much of cognitive level will improve in this stage. Then concrete operational stage, 7 to 11 years, children develop logical thinking and can solve problems involving concrete situation, that is a mathematical calculation. Then concrete means the things which are practically seen, that type of problems को this age में solve करते हैं बच्चे. Children are able to solve this type of concrete objects and situations. Concrete means we have to see that things are that should be present, that should not be imaginary thing. That is the meaning of concrete objects and situation. In formal operational stage, after the 11 years, we call this, after this age 11 years, adolescents and adolescent and adult learners characters, their physical, emotional, social development will also increase as the age grows from adolescent to adults. they will go mature, they will understand, even they can imagine, they can do the abstract things also. To know better these concepts, I will just introducing the little things. These all are you already learned in the pediatrics. If you go for the any modern textbook, you will learn the growth and milestone in the children's, and reflexes. In the name of reflexes we studied in the pediatrics. By birth only the what are the reflexes are present. So all the things are explained in the pediatrics books. So you should go in detail for these things. To understand these things, we have to refer these particular two chapters are there. Child growth and development, and adolescent growth and development. If you read that two chapters, then you will completely understand it, what are the cognitive development अकॉर्डिंग टू एज क्या होता है बच्चे उसमें. विथ पिक्चर्स आल्सो दे हैव एक्सप्लेन 2 years में ऐसे टास्क बच्चे कर सकते हैं. सो ऑल द थिंग्स दे आर एक्सप्लेन इन द इन पेडियाट्रिक्स. सो यू कैन गो एंड रीड इन डिटेल, then only you will understand the full picture. This is just idea what I am giving. So all of you read these particular two chapters in the pediatric textbook, because these two chapters will help the whole the cognitive development and psychology development, social development from child to adolescent. So I am just giving the ideas regarding these things. You have to go for in detail from that particular two chapters. Then the one of the scientists, Piaget's theory of cognitive development. How this cognitive will develop is John Piaget given the theory regarding the this cognitive development. How the cognitive will develop? He has given the one proposed the one theory, that is in the sensory motor stage 0 to 2 years, the infant develops objective permanence and learn through sensory experiences and motor skills. He, according to him, so John Piaget told that 0 to 2 years, the infant develops the objective permanence. Objective permanence means that is the object is in front of me. The child is able to understand the objective permanence and learn through the sensory experience and motor skills. So just this is the concept. For detail elaboration, if you know this small thing, you can elaborate these things. If you go for the search, if you search for the Piaget theory for cognitive development, you may get 100 of books, but the abstract will be this one only. You may get examples, different stories, but the main thing you have to remember is object permanence is there and sensory and motor skills are present. The object permanence will happen because of the sensory motor stage. As you all are professionals, doctors, if you read any textbook, any content related to this sensory motor stage, as is it related to medical field, you can easily understand. But you have to remember object permanence and experience sensory motor skills will be there in the this stage 0 to 2 years. Then pre-operational stage 2 to 7 years. This 2 to 7 years को हमने pre-operational stage कहते हैं. In this stage, children develop the language and symbolic thinking, but struggle with logical reasoning and conversation. 2 साल से बच्चे बात करने लगता है. Sometimes even 1.5 maybe कोई बच्चे develop the language, speaking the language, but it depends. But this is general range 2 to 7. So child will develop the language, speaking, and symbolic thinking. Symbolic means if related to any information or thing, if you tell the symbolic thinking, then that will child will understand with that symbol. For example, this is dangerous. So like that, if you use symbols, the child will think about what is that matter, what that particular symbol will indicates. So but logical reasoning, logical thinking will not there, and conversion will not be there in this pre-operational stage. And after 7 to 11 years, this stage we call as a concrete or operational stage. Children gain ability to think logically about concrete events and classify the object. Here what happens? The ability of thinking logically. If X is converted as Y, then Y is converted as Z. So Yx is converting as Y and Y is converting as Z. The logic behind this for process, the child is able to solve because the cognitive is improved and the ability to think this logical events is also possible in at this age group 7 to 11 years. Then after the 11 plus years, it is called as formal operational stage. The adolescent develop abstract thinking skills, can reason hypothetically about the world. 11 years afterwards, we call as a adolescents. So adolescent further divide as a early adolescents and late adolescents. So different WHO gives the age range different and according to Indian scenario. But generally 11 to 18 years we consider as a adolescent group. So from 11 plus, after the 11 years, the child will able to think logically and hypothetical things also. They are able to think the hypothetical things, that is imagine this. So the imagination power or hypothetical concept is also understand the child can understand, these adolescents can understand the hypothetical things, hypothetical theories, and abstract thinking is also there. Without present of that object, the abstract concept are also the adolescents are able to understand the abstract concept. For example, what is concrete? Concrete is with able to see without physically present. The physical present thing or problems is called concrete, but without physical present, but a conceptualized, that is abstract things. As in the previous classes in detail we discussed about this abstract thinking in previous classes in teaching aptitude. If you refer that particular unit, you will know the what is the abstract things. So in detail we have discussed, just briefing here. The abstract things means it will not visible, but you can imagine, then you can think about the abstract things. Concrete things means the things which are physically present. For example, one banana plus one banana. The banana should be there in physically present. Then that is called concrete. The child will able to count the that things. But what is abstract? Even though there is a no bananas, that if you tell, imagine there are 100 bananas and 50 watermelons, 30 apples, then even though actually the present of these things are not present in front of child, that the child will able to solve that questions. That is the abstract thinking. Then factors influencing the cognitive development. Cognitive development is influenced by the genetic, biological, environmental factors, heredity, nutrition, early childhood experiences, all play crucial roles in the brain structure. And socioeconomic status, family dynamics, educational opportunities also significant impact the cognitive growth and learning. Why all students, all learners have different types of outcomes? Because cognitive development is influenced by number of factors. It is because of genetic. If father and mother are highly intelligent persons, then the genetic heredity also, the child may have high cognitive. Some biological conditions, environment, the environment around the child is very good, then also the cognitive development is also increases. Nutrition, based on nutrition, if proper nutrition is there in the child, then the overall physical and brain development will be there. Then the cognitive also cognitive is also good. In malnutrition children's, the brain is not able to get the nutrition, then there may be no proper cognition. Then early childhood experiences and other family conditions, other social economic conditions, all the things can influence this cognitive development. So, role of environment in the cognitive development. The environment plays a crucial role in the shaping the child's cognitive development. So, enriched environment will provide the sensory experiences and social interaction should be there, and opportunity to explore the exploration can significantly change the cognitive growth. Enriched environments means, so the environment around the child, if you provide the good environment, then the cognitive growth will happen. Then social interaction, if child is socially active, so different type of persons with it, it should interact, it should socialize. In previous class, we discussed that socialization term. So that socialization should be there. That is also important to cognitive growth. Factors like parenting style, how parents will they behave, and educational resources, diverse cultural experience, all contributes the child's development, cognitive development. Which culture में बच्चे grown हो रहे हैं, what are the parents का styles क्या है, उनका lifestyle क्या है, it all depends, they all influence the cognitive development in the child. So that's why environment should be good. अगर environment ठीक नहीं है तो so बच्चे का cognitive development will not properly improve. So that's why in one of the theory, social learning theory, what we learn, that is in the teaching aptitude social learning theory, the child or person will learn from the society. That is the social learning theory. If surrounding environment or society is not good, the outcome is bad. That's why the environment is very important for this cognitive development for the child. If good environment is there, then it will leads for the cognitive growth. Then cognitive development and learning. So brain will adopt and it will continuously adapt the changes, and it will takes the new responses, new knowledges, new experiences, new learning. So it is very crucial for cognitive development. Today I learn this thing, tomorrow I will learn another thing. So brain will adopt for newer knowledge, newer experience. Today I have learned the cycling, tomorrow I have some days I have learned the riding the bike, after that I have learned the car driving. Today I have studied physics, chemistry. So different types of knowledge, different types of stimuli. The brain has the adaptive nature. That's why it is crucial for development of cognitive development. That's why the adaptability is important. Then knowledge acquisition. Acquisition means if we know already one thing, then tomorrow we learn another thing. Then with previous knowledge, the new knowledge is also acquired in the our brain. That is the knowledge acquisition. That is also important for the development of this cognitive development and learning development. Today's, tomorrow's knowledge, both the concept, we will acquire. We will what we learned in previously, that is assimilation and accommodation. That concept, this is nothing but that is assimilation and accommodation of newer things in the brain. हमने x पढ़ा था, y पढ़ा था, x भी पता है हमको, y भी पता है. अगर हमने z नया कुछ पढ़ा है, देन Z will accommodate or assimilate in this in between these things. This is the brain. That is the knowledge acquisition. Then another day you will learn about M R. So these type of things, newer knowledge, newer experiences, newer skill will acquire. That is assimilation and accommodation. That concept. So that will also improve the learning and cognitive development. And formal and informal learning, as we learn formal teaching and informal teaching. Cognitive development occurs both formal and informal. Formal means the educational settings like schools, teachers, exams. Informal means what we learn from our house, our parents, our relatives, or society, like behaviors, how to behavior, how to respect elders. So that type of things are we call as informal. So formal means school education, going to school, studying particular curriculum. That is formal education. So both formal and informal learnings will help for the cognitive development. It is not like that only if you go to the school or if you learn this particular subject, then the cognitive will develop. It is not like that. Both formal and informal learning, or both formal education or informal education, can help the development of cognitive and learning and problem solving capacity. As the uh, person matures or cognitive development will increase, then the problem solving capacity is also increase in the person. So that is the problem solving capacity. We will सी व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग, मतलब हर एक इंडिविजुअल का प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग कैपेसिटी अलग अलग रहती है. इट विल by solving different kinds of problems, it will also leads to the cognitive development. For example, we solve the one simple question, then next we can go for little bit tough, next we can go for little bit tough. So like that, problem solving is also helpful for the cognitive development. As in mathematics, we will go for the simple mathematics first. If you solve the simple calculations, then we will go for the moderate, then we will go for the tough questions. So doing this problem solving method is also helpful for the cognitive development. If you don't try it or don't attempt it or don't solve these simple problems, then the next level will not happen. That is the concept. Problem solving is also helpful for the cognitive development and increases the learning. As cognitive abilities mature, individuals become better equipped to tackle complex problems, reason logically, and develop strategies for effective problem solving. So as age बढ़ते बढ़ते mature होते होते cognitive भी increase होता है. We are able to solve difficult problems from simpler to, for 8th standard बच्चे को कॉग्निटिव डेवलपमेंट 10th स्टैंडर्ड आने तक चेंज होता है, बिकॉज as maturation happens, the cognitive is also developing. As at the same time, we are going from simpler things to the complex things. If you don't attempt simpler things, we don't solve the problems at 8th level, then we can't go for 10th level. It will go happen in hand by hand. As maturity will happens, then the problem solving capacity is also increases. If you don't solve the simple problem, then it is not happen to solve the complex or tougher problems. That is the problem solving will increase the cognitive development. And this is the cognitive development milestones in early childhood. In the first 18 months, infants demonstrate rapid growth in language, memory, problem solving skill. They begin to understand the object permanence, gain coordination for reaching, grasping, and develop the ability to follow simple instruction. If you tell sit, it will sit, stand. So bring that. So if you simple instructions, the child is able to follow. Then by 24 months, told us follow the two-step commands, name the familiar objects, कलर के हिसाब से ऑब्जेक्ट्स को सेपरेट कर सकते बच्चे, रेड बॉल्स, white balls, blue balls. If you give the different colors and it is able to identify and shape, they start engage in pretend and play. So if you see the child, if any child is there in your uh, uh, family, if you observe the child from डे टू डे लाइफ, यू विल अंडरस्टैंड दीज थिंग्स. सो 1.5 ईयर का बच्चे का बिहेवियर कैसे रहता है, 1 साल का बच्चे कैसे रहता है, 3 साल का बच्चे रहता है कैसे रहते हैं, कैसे बिहेवियर करते हैं. सो बच्चे 3 साल के बाद उसका एबिलिटी बढ़ते मैच्योर होते जाते हैं. दे कैन आइडेंटिफाई कलर्स, नंबर्स, लेटर्स, बेसिक time concepts. Now, as age will increase, then the maturity, brain development, and cognitive is also increasing. So, in which age, the what are the skills, behavior, reflexes are there? We are studying. That is nothing but, once again, for detailed description, detailed knowledge purpose, you have to refer this pediatric modern textbook. In there, we will learn in detail what are the fine motor skills, uh, uh, social behavior, बच्चे कैसे करते हैं. So everything we will learn, but of course we will learn more majorly for the pathological aspect. ब्रेन में कुछ प्रॉब्लम है तो क्या प्रॉब्लम हो सकती है. In that aspect, we will focus in the pediatric more than this social aspect. ब्रेन यानी ब्रेन डेवलपमेंट के इश्यूज की वजह से और नर्वस सिस्टम का इश्यू की वजह से डेवलपमेंट, ग्रोथ एंड माइलस्टोन्स नहीं हो रहे, उसका बारे में ज्यादा फोकस करते हैं इन पेडियाट्रिक्स में. बट द इफ यू रीड दैट both the chapters, we will also know about the concept of this psychology, cognitive, everything. Then cognitive disorders and intervention, as you already learned in your uh, undergraduation, post-graduation, this autism and attention deficiency, hyperactive disorder, learning disables. So these are cognitive disorders. All of you, I think all of you are familiar with these words and all of you know because these are the part of our curriculum. So autism, ADHD, learning disability, these disorders are connect with the cognitive disorders. So that is the thing. These things are impact the child's development and learning. So that's why early identification and evidence-based interventions crucial for supporting the child and helping them reach out their potential. So that's why this cognitive study, why we are studied this cognitive development, John Piaget's theory of cognitive development. If you understand the in which age, what are the cognitive stages of cognitive development, then we can apply the this we can handle the दिस डिसऑर्डर्स. सो ऑटिज्म का मतलब क्या है, सोशल कम्युनिकेशन में प्रॉब्लम रहता है, इंटरेक्शन में प्रॉब्लम रहता है. सो इफ यू नो द नॉर्मल थिंग्स, milestones or normal psychological behaviors in that particular age, if child fails to attain that level, then it is called that particular disorders. I am not explaining specifically because I am not a pediatrician or I am not gone through in detail. Just as a educational psychology purpose, how much you need, I am explaining. If you go through the pediatric book, then it will very clear. Then these are just information as needed for this our syllabus purpose. So you can apply these cognitive disorders and intervention, because if these disorders are there, the development of child and cognitive level will hamper the learning processes. Initial stages only, if you recognize, identified or diagnose the children, school children's, then we may help the children to come out of from these disorders. That will help for the learning processes. Then implication for education and parenting. Personalized learning, understand the each child's unique cognitive strength and weakness to tailor the educational approach for the optimum. ये पर्सनलाइज लर्निंग के लिए भी कॉग्निटिव theories और कॉग्निटिव मेथड्स आर हेल्पफुल, क्योंकि हर एक बच्चे का कॉग्निटिव लेवल्स, कॉग्निटिव स्ट्रेंथ अलग अलग रहता है. इफ यू नो द कॉग्निटिव लेवल ऑफ दैट child, you can do the different approaches for the child. That is personal learning. इंडिविजुअल बच्चे का लेवल के अनुसार आप टीचिंग कर सकते हैं. देन नर्चरिंग क्यूरियासिटी मीन्स चाइल्ड में क्यूरियासिटी बढ़ाना है, एनकरेज करना है, एक्सप्लोर करना है, क्वेश्चनिंग, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग एंड ये सारे नर्चर किया तो देन कॉग्निटिव ग्रोथ के लिए हेल्प होता है. नर्चरिंग क्यूरियासिटी मीन्स टू encourage the child or learners for questioning, problem solving. This will help for the cognitive growth. Implication में कोलैबोरेटिव लर्निंग, कोलैबोरेट में क्या होता है, डिफरेंट ग्रुप एक्टिविटीज देना है, डिस्कशन अमंग द स्टूडेंट्स, चाइल्ड्स, दैट विल हेल्प फॉर द कॉग्निटिव स्किल्स एंड क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग विल एंड कम्युनिकेशन. अगर हमने 8 to 10 स्टूडेंट्स का एक ग्रुप बनाया एंड वी विल गिव द स्पेसिफिक टास्क, देन फॉर एग्जांपल आपने हाइजीन का बारे में रोल प्ले करना है 8 to 10 students, then these 8 to 10 students, they will interact, they will discuss. Then because of this collaborative teaching, what happens, they will increase in the cognitive skills and critical thinking and communication between that child or students will happen. That is the collaborative learning. And parental involvement, parents also actively engage in the to develop the development in the children's learning, cognitive development के लिए पेरेंट्स का सपोर्ट भी इम्पोर्टेंट है. कम्युनिकेशन, अगर स्कूल में बच्चे कुछ पढ़ाई नहीं कर रहे, वर्क नहीं कर रहे, देन इवन एट द होम आल्सो they should apply the reinforcement at the home. What is the reinforcement? We learned one of the theory, that is reward and reinforcement in the that क्लासिकल एंड ऑपरेटर कंडीशनिंग मेथड में हमने ये पढ़ाई किया है. So please go through that units and you will understand the reinforcements at the home. Reward and punishment, nothing but reward. If child does the good things, then give the reward. Child does not do the homework and other things, then you will punish. That is the thing, that is reinforcement means. So the parental involvement is also important for the this cognitive development. So this is the cognitive development and Jean Piaget's theory. So any doubt up to this? These are very simple things. Just I am highlighting and introducing to you. If you search for this Jean Piaget theory in online, a lot of things will be available. But these are important one for understanding the concept. I am explaining this. I will provide a lot of materials, textbook. If you interest, you can go through deeper. But I will suggest you read the pediatric book for better understanding. Up to this, any doubt? अगर आप पार्क का सोशल साइंस का कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ाई किया तो दिस इज नथिंग. उसका चैप्टर में सारे कॉन्सेप्ट आ चुका है. ये एक्सप्लेन करने का भी जरूरत नहीं, डिटेल आपको समझ में आ जाएगा ये क्या बता रहा है बोल के. So that's why I have shared that document. If you don't go through that particular chapter, then it is you will understand, but clarity नहीं होता है आपको ये सारी चीज में. Because of that chapter only this theories are developed. So social science का chapter में क्या है, that concepts, all concepts are coming here in the name of theories. So any doubt up to this? Hello? Can anyone reply?
No, sir.
Then introduction about Vygots's socio-cultural perspective. He is a psychologist, and according to him, the theory इनका theory क्या है? This development and learning, cognitive development क्या होता है? Due to cultural perspective. हमने that chapter में पढ़ा है कि what is the culture, culture से कैसे acculturation. So these 2-3 terms we have studied. So but this theory tells that the socio-cultural perspective, social aspects and cultural aspects will influence the cognitive development in the child or human being. That is the concept of cultural, socio-cultural perspective of Vygotsky theory. This person, this psychologist have proposed this theory. So according to this theory emphasizes social and cultural context of learning and development. So learning and development in the context of social, how the social, for social, sociology, society, socialization. So everything you should refer that particular chapter. So social and cultural context ke, based on these things, how the learning will happens. This theory explains the social and cultural context. So initial one is cognitive theory. John Piaget's के cognitive theory में वो based on brain development and cognitive development, the body development के हिसाब से बोला था, लेकिन इधर specially this theory focuses on social and cultural aspect कैसे develop learning and development में affect करता है. This theory explains about these things. This theory believes that higher mental functions originate in the social interaction and mediated by language. So higher mental functions originate that will originate because of social interactions. अगर social interactions नहीं होता है, then this higher mental functions will not develop. That is the concept according to this Vygotsky socio-cultural theory. He believes that अगर social interaction नहीं है, then higher mental functions will not develop. That is mediated by language. Language is a strong tool to communicate between each other. So language के through अगर हमने social interaction नहीं कर रहे, then the mental functions will not originate or develop. That is the concept, social and cultural theory. Then zone of proximal development, the gap between what learners can do independently, what they can do with guidance. So this theory majorly emphasis on social culture का importance क्या है and social and language का बारे में भी बताते हैं. So these are important for the development of cognitive development. So this zone of proximal development ये क्या है? We will discuss in the next slide. द रोल ऑफ सोशल इंटरेक्शन इन लर्निंग. सोशल इंटरेक्शन इंपॉर्टेंट है. अगर बच्चे को हमने डिफरेंट सोशल इंटरेक्शन नहीं कर रहे, डिफरेंट थिंग्स के लिए हम इंटरेक्शन नहीं कर रहे, बच्चे को सोशलाइज नहीं कर रहे, दैट विल अफेक्ट द लर्निंग. अगर बच्चे को घर में ही बिठाए, एक ही रूम में बिठाया, सोशलाइज नहीं कर रहे, उनका एज के साथ बच्चे के साथ मिलने को नहीं कर रहे, डिफरेंट एज लोगों के साथ इंटरेक्शन नहीं कर रहे, डिफरेंट सोशल एस्पेक्ट को दिखाने के लिए हम नहीं दिए, देन दैट विल lead to the learning problems. That's why social interaction is very important. That's why this theory explains. Vygotsky theory emphasizes on the crucial role of social interaction in the learning process. He believed that through collaboration and shared experiences, individual can internalize knowledge and develop higher order cognitive function. So because of this social interaction only, the person is able to internalize the knowledge and develop the higher order cognitive functions. Then he highlighted learning occurs with zone of proximal development, where learners can accomplish tasks with the guidance and support more knowledgeable others such as teachers or peers. So what is this? We will study in detail. Zone of proximal development. This is the important term. Certain things we will do individually. Individually, I can do this, but certain things I will do with the help of friends or do with the help of parents, or we are able to do with help of others. That is the with group or with help. So कोई कोई चीजें रहते हैं आई कैन परफॉर्म दी इंडिविजुअली, कोई कोई सर्टन थिंग्स we can perform by help of peer or teachers or others. If you do that things with the help of others, then it is the certain things. Everyone have capacity to do certain things individually, certain things doing in the group or helping from others. That zone, the gap between this doing individually to group, certain things we can't do the individually to this gap, zone of proximal development. This zone we called as a proximal development. Individual से हम group without help, without help to with help क्या कर सकते हैं, उसका बीच में एक गैप होता है. That one we called as a zone of proximal development. So we will understand from next slide, don't worry, because this is the main concept in this pygotic theory. So if you understand this concept, it is very easy, and this is the main point in this. So what is the zone of proximal development? Zone of proximal development refers to the range of tasks. Range of tasks that learner can perform with the guidance and support or more knowledgeable other, but cannot yet accomplish independently. If I am able to, for example, I am a surgery student, I can do, I am a surgery student, I can do simply by incision. I will do independently incision. I am able to make the incision. But with help of my guide, my teacher, and other peers, I am able to do surgeries. So if I am individually there in the OT, I am able to do incision only. But if peers, teachers, or any other nursing staff and other peoples are there, with that people I am able to do surgery. So this thing, doing the surgery, we call as a zone of proximal development. I am able to do surgery, but I can't do surgery independently. If मैं अकेला हूँ OT में, then I am only able to do the incision. I can make the incision, not do the surgery. If these people are with me, then I will able to do surgery. अगर मेरे पास मेरा गाइड है बाजू में खड़े होके हाँ करो अपेंडिसेक्टोमी बोले तो then I am able to do that appendicectomy, but individually I can't do the appendicectomy. If I am doing with these people, these peers or these things, then that is called zone of proximal development. So it explains like that zone of proximal development refers to the range of tasks that learner can perform with the guidance and support for more knowledgeable others, but cannot yet accomplish independently. Independently करने को नहीं हो रहा है, but with these people he can able to do that thing. That zone is called as a zone of proximal development. So then scaffold learning, this is the another important concept. So what is scaffold learning? Within the zone of proximal development, the more knowledgeable other can provide scaffolding, temporary supports that help the learners bridge the gap between their current abilities and desired level of performance. Scaffold learning क्या है? I am in the this level. With the help of others or teachers or peers, I can do for this level or go for this level, higher level. अगर मैं अकेला है तो यही लेवल में होता है, अगर दूसरों के साथ with help I can go for this level. So if you are taking others help and going for this level or doing these things of for temporarily you are using others and you are doing the zone of proximal things, then after certain times without help of these people you can directly go for this thing, that is the scaffold learning. समझ में आ गया आपको? हेलो हेलो.
Yes, sir.
If we take this example only, मुझे पहले इंसिशन डालने के लिए ही आता था. इनिशियली मैंने क्या किया, सर्जन्स एंड पियर्स के साथ मिलकर सर्जरी करना शुरू किए. आफ्टर सर्टन टाइम्स नाउ आई एम इंडिपेंडेंट टू डू सर्जरी. मैंने सर्जन बन गया. नाउ आई कैन डू द इंडिपेंडेंट अपेंडिसेक्टोमी. पहले क्या होता था, मुझे बाजू सर्जन है तो ही मुझे करने को होता था, अभी सर्जन नहीं है तो भी मैं सर्जरी कर सकता हूँ. सो दैट इज दैट लर्निंग स्कैफोल्ड फ्रॉम किसी के ऊपर डिपेंड होके हम क्या करते थे चीज, वो चीज को हम विदाउट किसी का हेल्प नहीं करने लगे ना, दैट वन वी कॉल्ड एज स्कैफोल्ड लर्निंग. कॉन्सेप्ट समझ में आ रहे हैं आपको? बिकॉज द वर्डिंग्स, टर्मिनोलॉजी, सेंटेंस इंपॉर्टेंट नहीं, कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है इसका बिहाइंडिंग, व्हाट इज द जोन ऑफ प्रॉक्सिमल डेवलपमेंट एंड स्कैफोल्ड लर्निंग, ये इंपॉर्टेंट है. आपको ये कॉन्सेप्ट मैं क्या बता रहा हूँ समझ में आ गया तो दैट इज इनफ. समझ में आ गया मैं क्या बताया आपको? दो कॉन्सेप्ट, जोन ऑफ प्रॉक्सिमल डेवलपमेंट एंड स्कैफोल्ड लर्निंग. ऑल ऑफ यू? हेलो.
Yes, sir.
Okay. By working within the ZPD and gradually removing scaffolds, a learner can internalize new knowledge and skills, unlocking their full potential for independent problem solving learning. Unlocking the potential. मैंने पहले इंसिजन ही करता था, सर्जरी करने को नहीं होता था. सो इसका मतलब मेरे पास पोटेंशियल नहीं, वैसा नहीं है. पहले मैंने जोन ऑफ प्रॉक्सिमल डेवलपमेंट के साथ काम किया, सर्जन्स, पियर्स और अदर लोगों के साथ काम किया. बाद में दैट स्कैफोल्ड लर्निंग की वजह से मैंने इंडिपेंडेंटली सर्जरी करने लगा. बाय डूइंग इंडिपेंडेंटली सर्जरी नाउ आई एम एबल टू internalize my things and I can develop more knowledge and skills in that surgery. That is that thing we called as internalization. By gradually removing, धीरे धीरे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल और भी एक एग्जाम्पल बोल सकते हैं हमने, स्पोर्ट्स में ये जिम्नास्टिक में क्या रहता है, इनिशियली द जिम्नास्टिक करने वाला पर्सन को पकड़ना पड़ता है, ट्रेनर्स हाथ पकड़ते, थोड़ा वो जंप करने के लिए, राउंड मारने के लिए हेल्प करते हैं. विथ द हेल्प ऑफ दैट ट्रेनर्स ओनली ही कैन जंप और रोटेट, डू दी दैट जिम्नास्टिक प्रोसीजर्स. धीरे धीरे प्रैक्टिस करते करते विथ द हेल्प ऑफ टीचर्स, आफ्टर द विदाउट दैट ट्रेनर्स, विदाउट देयर सपोर्ट, द जिम्नास्टिक पर्सन विल एबल टू डू दैट पर्टिकुलर थिंग्स. जंप करना हो, रोटेट करना हो, वो विदाउट सपोर्ट करते हैं. इनिशियली दे विल डूइंग विथ सपोर्ट, आफ्टर दैट दे आर नॉट, they are able to do without support. That is the unlocking the potential. By working within zone of proximal development, gradually removing the scaffold. Scaffold means nothing but support. Gradually support को निकाल के इंडिविजुअली हमने वो दैट कॉन्सेप्ट को हमने इंटरनलाइज करके इंडिविजुअली करने का डेवलप क्षमता बढ़ता है. दैट इज द अनलॉकिंग द पोटेंशियल. पहले हमने कार ड्राइविंग में क्या है, बाजू एक कोई आदमी चाहिए हमको सपोर्ट के लिए, हेल्प के लिए. तो आफ्टर रिमूविंग स्कैफोल्ड्स, बाद में कोई नहीं है तो भी हमको धीरे 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 अकेले करके हमने ड्राइविंग सीखी. दैट इज इंटरनलाइजिंग द न्यू नॉलेज एंड स्किल. द सेम कॉन्सेप्ट इज द सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट बट टर्मिनोलॉजीज आर देयर. दे mentioned that is zone of proximal development and this scaffold learning. whether all of you समझ में आ गए या नहीं समझ में आ गए. This is simple things but complicate इसलिए लग रहे हैं because of this terminologies as the way they explained. Zone of proximal development and scaffold. Simply साधारण भाषा में बोलना है तो हम कुछ भी सीखना है तो पहले सपोर्ट हेल्प के साथ ही सीख लेते. बच्चे चलने को भी सीखते हैं फादर मदर का हाथ पकड़ के. बाद में धीरे धीरे बच्चे बड़े होते होते फादर मदर का सपोर्ट भी नहीं है तो भी वो बच्चे चलने लगते. सो दैट इज अनलॉकिंग द पोटेंशियल. द taking the help from mother father or any object for walking, that is scaffold, that is support. धीरे धीरे सपोर्ट को छोड़ के खुद का खुद बच्चे चलने लगते. दैट इज अनलॉकिंग पोटेंशियल. बट चाइल्ड इज एबल टू वॉक विथ सपोर्ट, दैट इज पेरेंट्स. दैट इज जोन ऑफ प्रॉक्सिमल डेवलपमेंट. बच्चे अकेले चल नहीं सकते लेकिन बच्चे का हाथ पकड़े तो बच्चे चलते. दैट इज द जोन फॉर दैट चाइल्ड. with the help of this scaffold support, then the as बच्चे चलना सीखते हैं और ग्रोथ होता है, then बच्चे without support also the child is able to walk. That is the unlocking the potential. Now all of you clear? Hello?
Hello.
Okay. All of you clear? Any doubt up to this? Then the language and thought. According to this socio-cultural theory, cognitive development होने के लिए, learning होने के लिए, language and thought are the most important and closely related things. Language shape our cognition and how to make senses of the world. As language is essential for organizing our mental process and things. इसका मतलब है language is very important in developing the कॉग्निटिज्म. कोई तो कोई भाषा चाहिए बच्चों को और कोई पर्सन को, ह्यूमन बीइंग को. विदाउट लैंग्वेज देयर इज नो थॉट प्रोसेस. हमको थॉट होने के लिए कुछ तो कुछ होना चाहिए ना. दिस इज टाइगर. टाइगर टाइगर दिस इज वर्ड ऑफ इंग्लिश. अगर टाइगर बोले तो हमारा थॉट प्रोसेस टाइगर, हाँ ऐसे रहते, वो थॉट शुरू होता है. सो लैंग्वेज एंड थॉट आर very important. Without language there is no thought. So that's why in cognition and learning, language and thought are very important. Without this the learning will not happen. That's why this theory explains language and thought is very important. Language is help for this. According to Vygotsky, the inner speech ability to think in words is a critical component of higher order thinking. This internalization of language allows to plan, problem solve and engage in the abstract reasoning. फॉर एग्जाम्पल मुझे कन्नड़ा आता है, हिंदी भी थोड़ा थोड़ा आता है, इंग्लिश भी आई कैन स्पीक एवरेज. अगर मुझे इंग्लिश में बता रहे कोई, देन आई विल अंडरस्टैंड बाय इंटरनली. मेरा दिमाग में क्या है, वो दैट मैटर को कन्नड़ा में कन्वर्ट करके मैं अंडरस्टूड कर लेता हूँ. लिटरली आई एम नॉट ट्रांसलेटिंग, but in unconsciously my mind is translating in the my language, my generally whatever language, not Kannada. So mind has its different language. These language the mind will convert in its own language and that will interpret. So just for example मुझे इंग्लिश में बोले तो भी I will consciously think in the my language and I will interpret. So like that other languages, other things, stimuli the brain will take and a process will happen in the its own way. The mind will analyze in its own way or its own language, then it will interpret. That is the concept. Inner speech, what we call as a inner speech in thinking words and critical component of the higher order thinking. So without language the higher order thinking will not happen. लैंग्वेज फॉर एग्जाम्पल कोई कोई शब्द रहता है, उस वो थॉट प्रोसेस के लिए हमको स्टिमुलाई करता है. सिंपली स्काई, दिस वर्ड वी कैन थॉट इन डिफरेंट वेज. स्काई ब्लू है, सो सिंपल थॉट, बट स्काई के बारे में डिफरेंट थॉट्स बेस्ड ऑन देयर कॉग्निटिव लेवल, they can explore, they can कोई कोई ये साहित्यिक लोग रहते हैं, सो वो लोग वो आकाश स्काई को ही डिफरेंट डिफरेंट थॉट लेवल पे सोच के डिफरेंट डिफरेंट नॉवेल स्टोरी पता सोच, सो दैट इज द हायर ऑर्डर ऑफ थिंकिंग. हम क्या स्काई देखते हैं, दैट स्काई दे विल नॉट सी, दे विल थॉट, they will tell in different manner, that is the higher order thinking. They will write poem, they will write sahitya by sky only, because their thought is different, their internal language understanding of sky is different in that type of people. That is the concept. So that is why language and thought are very interrelated. So language and thought is helpful for the critical thinking, higher order thinking. Without this, the thinking or cognitive development will not happen. That's why बच्चों को मदर टंग आना जरूरी है. हर एक आदमी को मदर टंग, खुद का भाषा आना चाहिए. दैट्स वाई न्यूअर एजुकेशनल पॉलिसी आल्सो they have given the importance to the लोकल लैंग्वेज और मदर लैंग्वेज में चाइल्ड को एजुकेशन देने के लिए प्रोविजन देना है. सो दैट इज वाई लैंग्वेज, वट एवर मे बी लैंग्वेज, द लैंग्वेज एंड थॉट, विदाउट लैंग्वेज द थॉट प्रोसेस विल नॉट हैपन. दैट इज द कॉन्सेप्ट. स्कैफोल्डिंग एंड गाइडेड इंस्ट्रक्शन. स्कैफोल्डिंग मीन्स सपोर्ट. स्कैफोल्डिंग कौन कर सकते हैं? मोर नॉलेज एडल्ट और पीयर प्रोवाइड्स द सपोर्ट एंड गाइडेंस टू हेल्प द लर्नर अकॉम्प्लिश टास्क बिहाइंड देयर करंट एबिलिटीज. अगर बच्चे को सिंपल सेंटेंस पढ़ाई करने के लिए हो रहा है, सो कॉम्प्लेक्स सेंटेंस पढ़ाई करने के लिए नहीं हो रहा है, देन मदर फादर और एनी टीचर और एनी उनका ब्रदर हेल्प कर रहे हैं पढ़ाई करने के लिए, रीड करने के लिए. दैट इज द स्कैफोल्डिंग और गाइडेड इंस्ट्रक्शन. बच्चे का एबिलिटी से ज्यादा क्या आता है, उसके लिए टीचर और पेरेंट्स और एनी हायर नॉलेजेबल पर्सन का सपोर्ट चाहिए. दैट इज स्कैफोल्डिंग और गाइडेड इंस्ट्रक्शन. Guided instruction involves the teacher structuring the learning environment and providing prompts, hints, feedback to help the student progress to their zone of proximal development. This collaborative approach to foster the independent mastery over the time. बच्चे कुछ मैथमेटिकल क्वेश्चन सॉल्व करते रहते हैं, तो किधर तो बच्चे को प्रॉब्लम हो तो द टीचर विल गिव द हिंट, देन द चाइल्ड विल प्रोसीड नेक्स्ट. So that is the guided instruction means prompts. Prompts means giving the inputs. Generally we use this prompts in the artificial intelligence input में देते हैं ना, we are giving prompts. A term like prompts, hints, feedback. ऐसा नहीं ऐसे करो. These type of things are guided instructions. So these will help for attaining the zone of प्रॉक्सिमल डेवलपमेंट. बच्चे को वो जोन के लिए जाने के लिए गाइडेड इंस्ट्रक्शन एंड स्कैफोल्डिंग का नीड है. आफ्टर सम टाइम as child matures or child learns, it's once the things are internalized, there is no need of scaffolding or guided instruction. That is the concept. Then cultural tools and artifacts, language and writing, mathematical tools, symbolic artifacts, modern tools. These all things are needed for the this learning process. So language तो आपको समझ में आ गया, language and writing. So it will help for the writing systems, cultural tools that allow for the recording and transmission of knowledge across the generation. Mathematical tools like reasoning, problem based solving के लिए mathematics tools चाहिए. Symbolic artifacts, cultural artifacts, artwork. So these will help for the learning. And modern tools like technologies, everything will help for learning and improvement in the cognitive, because we are learning this concept under the socio-cultural aspects. So this social cultural aspect में ये सारे चीजें आता है. So these are needed for cognitive development or learning according to this Vygots's theory. as we already learned, internalization क्या है, appropriation, uh, then scaffolding, also providing support is called as a scaffolding. This appropriation means external knowledge को वो खुद से खुद करने का चीज के लिए हम अप्रोप्रिएशन बोलते हैं. इंटरनलाइजेशन मींस एक्सटर्नल एक्सपीरियंसेस को इंटरनल मेंटल प्रोसेस कर वर्क करके इंटरलाइजेशन कर सकते हैं हम कोई भी नॉलेज स्किल्स को, एज प्रीवियसली एक्सप्लेन्ड इंटरनलाइजेशन. According to Vygotic's social cultural theory, learning occurs through process of internalization, where external experiences interaction are transported into internal mental processes. Any external stimulus will converted as a internal mental processes, then the learning will happens. So mind or brain will convert these things into internal mental processes. Learners then appropriate these new knowledge and integrate into their existing understanding, making it their own. Scaffolding or supporting is provided by more capabilities others is crucial the process of internalization. So internalization होने तक और सीखने तक this supporting system का जरूरत है, that is scaffolding. The same concept है, अलग अलग sentence अलग अलग तरीके से बताए. The main thing zone of proximal development and scaffolding means supporting system. सो इम्प्लीकेशन, दिस थ्योरी को इम्प्लीकेशन क्या है, इसे आप स्कैफोल्डिंग कॉन्सेप्ट हम अप्लाई कर सकते हैं. इनकॉर्पोरेटिंग कल्चरल टूल्स, बिकॉज कल्चरल टूल्स, कल्चर इज आल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर द डेवलपमेंट ऑफ कॉग्निटिव डेवलपमेंट एंड लर्निंग. हमारा कल्चर के ऊपर भी डिपेंड है, दैट्स व्हाई द कल्चर इज आल्सो इम्पोर्टेंट. कल्चर कैन आल्सो लेवरेज द bridge the gap between students existing knowledge and new concepts, meaningful engaging. So cultural का बारे में, cultural aspects also helpful by considering the different types of cultural background in the students, learners, that will also helpful for the effective learning process. That's why it is better to know the cultural aspect of the learners. Then collaborative, as I explained, collaborative means collaboration करने से different kinds of things will be said, then it will help for the interaction and helpful for the learning. And tailoring instruction, tailoring का मतलब क्या है, हमने instruction और help देते जाता है as the students is able to do that thing, they are perfect going to perfection side, we will tailor or remove the instruction. That is the concept. Initially उनका हमारा support चाहिए, as he is seeking, he is learning, then gradually we will decrease the that instruction or support, that is the tailoring of instruction. अगर बच्चे सीख रहे हैं, अगर साइकिल सिखाने के टाइम पहले हम साइकिल पकड़ते पीछे से, as the person is individually riding the bicycle, we will remove the hand. So that is the concept, tailoring the instruction. Understanding the role of language and thought in the development can help the teachers tailor their instructional strategies to meet the diverse need of the students. Tailor करना मतलब क्या है, gradually कम करना है, depending upon the development and understanding and needs of the students. Conclusion के लिए क्या है, होलिस्टिक सोशल कल्चरल में क्या है, होलिस्टिक डेवलपमेंट, इट विल इंक्लूड ऑल द सोशल कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट फॉर डेवलपमेंट एंड लर्निंग पर्पस के लिए. सो सोशल कल्चरल एस्पेक्ट्स आर वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर लर्निंग पर्पस. देन इसमें स्कैफोल्ड इंस्ट्रक्शन का कॉन्सेप्ट आ गए, जो जोना प्रॉक्सिमल डेवलपमेंट होता है, स्कैफोल्डिंग इंस्ट्रक्शन चाहिए. एंड कल्चरल मीडिएशन, कल्चरल मीन्स आवर language, our tools, other cultural artifacts, these are also needed for the learning experiences, learning process. Then collaborative learning, these four things we can apply in the education. But one of the drawback or limitations of this theory is, this theory is not very well explained. As we learn, that is scaffold instruction, this zone of proximal development, This theory does not explain in depth about these things. Just simply it will tell this is zone of paradoxal development, this is this scaffold instruction. इसलिए बहुत unclear है concepts. So it will not give the clear concepts regarding this scaffold and zone of proximal development. That's why it is the one of the limitation of this theory. And this theory only considers the social and cultural aspects. Other things like moral developments, emotional developments, emotional things, this theory will not consider. Only social and cultural aspect को consider करता है. Other things, other dimensions को this theory include नहीं करते हैं. So that is the major limitation of this theory and unclear explanation of this scaffold and zone of proximal development. Clear definition नहीं है, clear concept नहीं है. That is the one of the limitation of this Vygotsky socio-cultural theory. So up to this, all of you understood?
Yes, sir.
Any doubt? Because these are the newer things. Neither we are sociologists, no, neither we are psychologists. Now only we are becoming educationalists. We are health medicals, but this is not difficult because we know about every subject or every concepts are already we studied in this as a specialty. As in pediatrics also we learn reflexes, growth and development. As in a PSM we learn about social context, cultural context, everything in that chapter. But we are not abstracting the concept from that things to and not applying the in this field. If you read that chapters and with that background, if you read these theories, these are nothing. So these are not at all newer things and not tougher ones if you know the that two chapters, because that's why this social cultural theory, if you आपको सोशल कल्चरल theory दिस theory समझने के लिए आपको सोशियोलॉजी का स्टडी होना पड़ता है. दैट बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट विल बी देयर इन दैट पर्टिकुलर चैप्टर. You have to refer first that chapter and then you will go for this concept. And these theories are very अलग अलग सर्च इंजिन्स में आप करने लगे तो बहुत सारे डिटेल्स आता है. बट these slides I have generated from the AI. This is the AI generated slides. I have not made the anything. So ऐसे आप सर्च करो, उसका बारे में लिटरेचर मिलते हैं. नो यू कैन रीड योर ओन and you can understand what is this concept. So I will also provide certain important materials regarding this theory. Just we have left one theory. We will discuss this theory in the next class. This is the Braun-Ferner's ecological system theory. This theory explains the what are the ecological aspect. This theory का कहना क्या है? The human development and this overall learning will be depend on this ecological system. So we will learn or we will discuss in the next class. So please go through the any textbook or any material available. Lot of materials available in the online also. So you can read and